In a world gone mad, only one man, okay, maybe more, had the courage to ramble on incoherently. The show is up and the reviews are in. This is the show that many people have described as good. Uninterrupted, Wednesday nights on Tag TV. We're good? Okay. Welcome to the week where everything went wrong for everyone in a total race to the bottom in what we're titling, That's the theme for this week. So, everything was going great. The Democrats were eating the Democrats alive because according to Democrats, Democrats are racist unless they support Democrats, unless they support the wrong Democrats who support the wrong Democrats. So the Democrats are calling Democrats racist because Democrats are racist, because the left is fundamentally insane. Then Antifa committed its first lethally attempted terrorist attack. It's undeniable terrorist attack. And people were just about to pounce on it. Then we get President Trump bursting through the doors like the Kool-Aid Man, turning the entire narrative into everyone's racist to Trump is racist, now everyone is racist. So Trump fumbles the ball, then the Democrats take the ball from Trump, spike it down in their own end zone, creating a safety, and it's just the biggest political clusterfuck you could ever imagine. We will break down everything you need to know about the week that was, shouldn't have been, should have been. Right? I mean, there's a massive international pedophile ring, and it's not even in the news cycle because Twitter. People tweet stupid things. So we're going to have some real news, then we're going to talk about stupid Twitter things, explain that, go back to real news, because there is an important story in Canada, as Lindsay Shepherd being removed from Twitter has a lot more international and national implications than you think. So there is a big story I'm going to bring to you, and we've talked about the story a lot about the transgender woman, or there's a man in British Columbia who is going around harassing and threatening estheticians who won't wax his balls, which he calls a vagina. Then he went and attacked Lindsay Shepherd. Lindsay Shepherd stood up for herself, but that was illegal because she misgendered someone. We're going to get into all of that. Then we're going to learn about an award-winning design over in the UK that even our tech guy here did not believe was real. And if we have time for tonight's rant, I might talk about both sides of the ongoing Amber Alert debate. Okay, but first, thank you so much for coming. Let's get into it. What should be in the news cycle a lot more, but is not, is the fact that Antifa is now officially a terrorist organization. There's no, well, we're just anti-fascists, we're out there fighting whatever. No. A member of Antifa, who described himself in his manifesto as a member of Antifa, went to an ICE facility in Washington State with a loaded rifle, started shooting up the place, and attempted to firebomb and cause destruction. Now, I don't need to explain to you that terrorism is bad. There are a few people I need to explain to that terrorism is bad, but you are not one of them. It is very simple to say. Terrorism, bad. Don't blow things up. Don't try and blow things up, right? When you want to liberate the concentration camps, as the left is framing this, burning them down does no one any good. Because if you burn down an immigrant detention center, or illegal immigrant detention center, if you burn that down, what is inside the detention center? ICE agents, yes, very bad. Kill them all. They're Nazis. Kill them. That's fine. Is there any other group of people you might find at an illegal immigrant holding facility? Rack your brains, pull out a flow chart, ask your friends, call your mom, pull the audience 50-50. I can't remember all the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire lifelines. Use one or two of them and think if you there, noble anti-fascist warrior, can think of another group of people other than immigration and customs enforcement agents who would be at an immigrant detention facility. Do you get it? Yes, immigrants. Yes, the people you are trying to save by blowing up the facility that holds them and burning it to the ground. Now, I might not be the world's #1 biologist. Maybe. Maybe I'm only top 10. Maybe top 15 if we're pushing it. But I've been able to deduce from my years and years of research that being lit on fire is bad for immigrants. Both legal and illegal immigrants are flammable. Lighting them on fire, or lighting the building holding them on fire, apparently they also cannot breathe in smoke. So yes, being burned alive is very, 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 very bad for all types of people. Immigrants, illegal immigrants, Americans, Canadians, all of them do not react well physiologically to being burned alive. Case for wondering. Case solved. So this guy tried to save the immigrants by burning them down. I wonder why he's on the left. Who, with brilliant thinking like that, I wonder what political party he's voting for. So he is a absolute hero. Now, I say he's a hero because this is sarcasm to me, but it is not sarcasm to a good portion of the modern left. So here is Sean King. People call him Talcum X for his tenuous link to being black. All right. So William von Spraden, the guy who committed this terrorist attack, just became the first martyr attempting to liberate imprisoned refugees. Holy shit! That is a very interesting take on this. Look at the language. He is the first martyr, just the first martyr, not terrorist. This is straight Hamas, right? Oh yeah, he stabbed the girl in the throat with a knife, right? This is how terrorism works on the left, right? When it's Palestinians, they stab Israeli teenage girls in the neck with a knife. Then they get killed in the action. Then they go out and say, oh, this is nonviolent resistance, oh, Israel is so evil, how do we do this? Then they pay out the terrorist money. And then the New York Times writes an article, something titled like, Israeli teen attacks Palestinian knife. And then everyone goes on with their day. This is the modern left. He deleted his tweets because those had been up and people have been criticizing him. This is still up on his Facebook page right now. And I'm looking at another thing on his Facebook page. So, let's read his. He was attention center, Tacoma, Washington. He was killed by police after he begun trying to blow up the empty buses and vehicles in parking lot. His hero was John Brown, a white abolitionist who raided on Harper's Ferry in 1989. This is what our country has come to. So he's painting a pretty glowing picture of these people. I'm just going to read another post off his Facebook page I just came across. We are told that this is the final letter from William von Spraden, a martyr who was shot and killed by law enforcement after he attempted to destroy vehicles and more for-profit refugee detention center in Tacoma, Washington. It's a beautiful, painful, devastating letter. William wasn't crazy in action is. That's a direct call to terrorism. That's a direct call. Right? Even in this previous post we read to you, he tried to blow up empty buses. We're talking about that. He tried to blow them up. Sean King knows. Tried to blow up. This guy has over 1 million Twitter followers. He has around 2 million people on this Facebook page I'm looking at right now. I don't know how many people he has on Instagram because I've never decided to go there because I don't care about your pictures. I don't take pictures of me. And quite frankly, I don't think any pictures are worth looking at unless they have babies that are directly related to me. And yes, that is a veiled attempt to get my brother to send me more pictures. More pictures! I like him. He's small, human, and he's cute. But I don't care about anything else on the internet. So this is where we are. And you think, okay, that's just one crazy lefty. This guy has been, involved in the Kaepernick stuff, if you know, whatever. But then I started reading the comments. So let's bring up some of the comments. These are just the top 2 comments on that Facebook post. Right? I'm not going to read this person's name. Also did it in Tacoma Pride Celebration. Thank you for sharing our sibling story. Much love, comrade. Wonder that reminds it. Thank you, Sean, for speaking to the beauty of selfless warrior and my friend William von Spraden. ... exclamation mark, heart, heart. Will committed himself to this and defense of folks who could not defend themselves and hoped above all things his action would be seen and known as a call to action. Yes, Will was a great man who wanted to free the refugees by burning them down. Because, again, 4 to 5 dentists say being lit on fire is bad for your health, even if you are a refugee. And the whole comment section is just filled with support for terrorism. Like outright support and praise for terrorism. The left should basically, we don't even need, a Palestinian state. People say, just move Israel to America. Why can't, let's just make Portland Palestine. All the Palestinians can be in Portland. They can blow themselves up willy-nilly and just have a grand old time. So here's where we are. Antifa is legitimately a terrorist organization. There's no debating now. Yes, of course, they were fascists when their original thing is, we're anti-fascists. What do we do to fight fascism? Well, we use violence against people of differing political opinions so they can't express their political opinions in public. Then we lobby for a government where making those opinions are illegal. Anti-fascism. And we all said, that sounds like the exact same directive as the brown shirts. And you know why? Because it was. Now, they're literally grabbing guns and blowing things up and then saying, what a great idea, people should do more of this. And then mainstream figures. Maybe Sean King isn't mainstream, but he's not a nobody in left-wing circles, right? This is a big guy in those ultra-progressive. He's big on the Ilhan Omars, the Rashada Tlaibs, Bernie Sanders. He's very, very, very well associated with the new radical fraction of the Democratic Party. Again, having over 1 million people on Twitter and Facebook doesn't make you a nobody. Now, we saw over the weekend, people tried to get AOC and Rashada Tlaib and Ilhan Omar to comment. Do you condemn terrorism? Do you condemn the Antifa terrorist attack on an immigration and ICE facility? And I think this is valid to ask them, because they were the ones talking up how these are literal concentration camps. On Sean King's Twitter page, he literally has a article he wrote pinned to the top of the page talking about how the concentration camps need to be liberated and how they are literally Nazi concentration camps, and talks about the Holocaust. Remember, the original line was, oh, I wasn't comparing them to Holocaust concentration camps, AOC said. I was talking about the Boer War. Sure, AOC knew what the Boer War was. Fine. She did it. I don't believe that at all. But now it is Nazi. America is Nazi Germany, and it is Nazi Germany. So when you call America Nazi Germany and say these ICE detention centers are literally concentration camps, then a crazy person goes and attacks one. Now, I don't think AOC is responsible for this terrorist attack. People are responsible for their own actions, right? A Bernie Sanders supporter shot up a congressional baseball game because people were talking about how tax cuts would kill everyone. Tax cuts are going to kill. Everyone is going to die. You're all going to die, right? And then someone went crazy and shot up Republicans at a baseball game. That's not Bernie Sanders' fault. But Bernie Sanders, as a politician who advocates strong language when something comes up, you should ask Bernie Sanders AOC, hey, are you going to denounce this? And American lawmakers should be there to say, yes, I denounce terrorism attack, although I still think this is going at the border, blah, 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 blah. AOC, Tlaib, Omar have not condemned this terrorist attack on American soil. So take that for what it is. Now we'll actually have to get the talk. We'll have to have the serious talk about when we, enable terrorism and when we ask these questions. But that's getting into later. So this should have been the number one cycle. The radical left, which has been supported by CNN, which has been supported by Democratic lawmakers, which has been supported by strong vocal figures on the Twitter left, the social media left, millions of people, have supported terrorism within the United States. Antifa is a terrorist group. This should be front and center. But it's not. We're not talking about that. There's another thing we should be talking about. Another thing we should be talking about this week is the fact that Jeffrey Epstein had a massive international pedophile ring, and what the hell is going on here? Now, I actually didn't talk about this last week, one, because I wasn't in studio, I didn't have all the graphics, but there was another thing that, if you asked me last week, I didn't want to take a very nuanced opinion on Jeffrey Epstein just yet, because when it comes to something like this, you have an international sex trafficking ring run by a billionaire. Initially, there's going to be reports linking him to everyone. He is a New York billionaire, which means he has ties, went to a party, went to a function, spoke to every other very rich person in New York, and has probably at some point shaken hands or taken a picture around almost all politicians. Because he has $1 billion, not because he's part of some global pedophile ring. So I was going to say, hey, this is horrible, Jeffrey Epstein needs to talk, and in a few months, let's just see where all the evidence comes out, and then we actually need to go after people, because Republican, Democratic, liberal, conservative, NDP, all different types of heads, multicultural, multi-faith, multi-ideological heads, all different types of heads should roll from this. And I support that, right? Evil pedophile islands are one of my top 3 don't do that things, right? If you remember the list that I just made up now, it's terrorism, evil pedophile global rings, and trying to get people to go out for ramen with you. It's just soup. It's not worth $15. Now, Jeffrey Epstein had pedophile island, and shocking surprise, Bill Clinton went there like 20-something times. Now, I was of the opinion that it's not news when Bill Clinton's involved in a pedophile island, because whenever I hear about multinational pedophile islands, I just assume Bill Clinton is there unless someone tells me otherwise. So Jeffrey Epstein has claimed to be a co-founder of the Clinton Foundation. It's his own claim. There's no documents to support that. Many politicians have been on these flights. The only exonerating evidence for Trump so far is the media isn't hammering at him 24/7 because of this. They were at one party together in 1992, and Trump found some women attractive. Again, that's sort of baked into the cake with Trump. So this should be a lot bigger news. We should be trying to suss out the media should be trying to suss out what's going on here. And I would do it, but one, I don't have the resources to, search through all these databases and get you guys what you need to know. And two, I really don't want to be Googling pedophile stuff. I'm going to be honest. Pedophilia, very creepy. Also, very illegal to research. So I just want to stay as far away from that as possible and sort of be a relayer on the news. But I think it becomes relevant again because now it's just gone away. Now no one's talking about billionaire pedophile island. I mean, international pedophile island should be a story. Should be a bit more important than stupid tweets. But how did we get to stupid nonsense? The week was going so well. So well. If you were someone who was not on the left and you had been harassed by left-wing lunatics or you had just seen left-wing nonsense for years, you were having a great time this week. You know where we were this week? The left was eating itself. And the left has always been eating itself, but now the Democratic Party had started to eat itself. We had the new, fresh, young faces, AOC, Rashada Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and the other one. And they were going after Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi was racist! Racist, racist, racist Nancy Pelosi. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. It was so great. It was magnanimous. It was like, just a prolonged Christmas evening. I don't celebrate Christmas, but I've been to a Christmas. Everyone's having fun. It seems great. Just Christmas. Presents over and over, and every time you turn on the news, it's AOC was saying Pelosi is racist, and Rashad Tlaib, Pelosi is racist, and Pelosi is saying these people are idiots, they don't represent anyone, they're just dumb, and it was great because these idiots were getting more and more attention, and then their numbers came out. We all found they have such low favorability ratings. 9% of Americans have a favorability rating of Ilhan Omar. It's like 20% or less than 20% of a favorable rating of AOC. These people are toxic, and they were winning, and they were destroying the moderate and Nancy Pelosi, and it was great. Let's just show the state of the Democratic Party. Here's a Twitter war going on right now. This is Saikat Chakrabarti, who is AOC's chief of staff. We've done exposés on him. You might know a lot about him. You might know a lot about him. He's sort of the brains behind AOC. He's one of the big figures and founders of Justice Democrats. So these people sort of behind this new wave, he's one of the sort of builders of this movement. And he tweeted out, "I think the point still stands. I don't think people have a permanently racist to enable a racist system, and the same could even be said of Southern Democrats. I don't believe Charisse is a racist person, but her votes are showing her enable a racist system." So this is AOC's chief of staff going after a Democratic congresswoman because she's racist, because she voted for funding on the immigration border bill, because she wanted to give immigrants more food and shelter, because she wanted to end this border crisis. She is now racist, white supremacist. And then the House Democrats, the actual House Democrats Twitter page comes back and, who is this guy? He's the chief of staff of your new star. Why is he explicitly singling out a Native American woman of color? Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Native woman, her name is Congressman Davids, not Charisse. She is a phenomenal new member who flipped a red state blue. Keep her name out of your mouth. Clapping emojis. What a beautiful, beautiful time to be alive. Everyone in the Democratic Party is racist now. The Democrats have now completely fractured. Everything is racist. Everyone is racist. You're racist. I'm racist. Your neighbor's racist. Your cat's racist. Your cat's neighbor is racist. Pineapple pizza is now no longer disgusting or amazing. It's now racist. Everyone, everywhere is racist. And people are about to vomit when they see the Democratic Party. And the Democrats are making such asses of themselves. Enter Donald Trump like the Kool-Aid man busting through the door to ruin everyone's good day. Here we have Donald Trump. And then Donald Trump gets on the fucking phone and ruins everyone's goddamn day. Then he just has to tweet out, because no one was paying attention to him for an entire week. For an entire week, everything was going his way, and the Democrats were imploding, and his biggest enemies were taking shots at each other, and it was glorious. All he had to do was shut his fucking mouth for 10 minutes. Just 1 week. Let the left eat itself alive. But no, we get on. So interesting to see progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are completely and totally catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt and inept anywhere in the world, if they even have a functioning government at all, now loudly and viciously telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back, help fix their total broken crime-infested places from where they came, then come back and show us how it is done? These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy to work out free travel arrangements. Ugh. Why? Now this is the entire news cycle. Or it was until the Democrats fumbled the ball. So here's Trump snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Okay, let's break down this Trump tweet. The bad things he said that everyone's focusing on is why don't they go back to where they came from? Now, Donald Trump is talking about the new fresh-faced congresswoman, which is AOC, Tlaib, Omar, and the other one no one cares about, Ayanna Pressley. 3 of those 4 are born in America. Okay? 3 of the 4, 75% of those idiots, were born in America. Okay? So it just makes no sense off the bat. Now, there is a legitimate argument to be made that you could tell Ilhan Omar, who has been viciously anti-American, anti-Semitic, and on Somali Independence Day tweeted out great things about how great Somalia is doing. Somalia is a failed state that executes homosexuals, completely a failed state. When he talks, Donald Trump is obviously talking about Somalia here. Now, then she criticizes America during July the 4th, praises Somalia, a failed state who execute gays, and she's a progressive, and then goes on to talk about how bad America is. There is a case to be said that if you wanted to single out Ilhan Omar and say, Ilhan Omar is very anti-American, but loves Somalia so much, thinks it is great, even though they are corrupt and execute gays. Why doesn't she go to Somalia, fix their problems first, then tell us how to run our country? There is a case to be made that if you had done that to Ilhan Omar, you could say, okay, it's a good jest, it's just that one person, and yes, there's evidence to prove they did this. But you cannot just do this to all 4 Democratic congresswomen because you're not just talking about Democratic congresswomen when you are the President of the United States. Telling people to go back to where they came from when they were not born outside the United States is going to have externalities to it. When you are the president, right, if this was just some random factory worker tweeting about AOC and whatever, this isn't a story, even if Twitterati picked it up, it's just a nonsense thing. But when it's the president, no, you shouldn't be saying things like that because it is externalities and people will, I mean, you could make the case, it's not racist because there are people of all different races there. There's black, Hispanic, Palestinian, these are all different races. But it's quite clearly a xenophobic tweet with bigoted intent, okay? And the, oh, it's not racist because technicality is a bad faith argument here, okay? When we talk about, oh, what bad things has Trump said? This is a bad thing. Shouldn't say this. Now, of course, Trump is not going to apologize for this because Trump never apologizes, and that's a strategy. And that's the way politics works now. AOC never apologized. Trump never apologized. Ilhan Omar, sorry, not sorry, double down. Like, this is now how life works. I'm sorry, people, we're never, ever going to get a meaningful, heartfelt, reasonable apology again because that just means you're burned. So here we have it. Donald Trump has now gone with the strategy of basically he is going to go after these Democratic congresswomen, and it has somewhat worked out for him because these idiots are insane. Now, I get it. There are ways we can interpret this. Some people think Donald Trump is playing 4D chess. He's the most brilliant political mind to ever hit the planet. This is always his plan, right? Because these 4 America-hating congresswomen were at the forefront, and they're so unpopular, so he wanted to pick a fight with them to keep them in the news cycle. He's brilliant. Other people saying, no, he just doesn't know what he's doing. Listen, I think that's a bad argument here. I don't think this is the 3D chess Donald Trump. I think this is the no one's talking about me. Leroy Jenkins just going to tweet something Donald Trump. And he ended up working out. He looks like a political genius in this case only because the left was so crazy that they managed to compensate for him. So there's a problem with the, go back to where he came from, right? It institutes a dual loyalties thing. But there's another problem here why Trump is not getting, why Trump's not getting, you could say, reasonable criticism, whatever. It's because the Democrats are just as bad. These 4 congresswomen, I don't feel any sympathy for them. All of them have been guilty of worse than what Trump did right here. Doesn't make what Trump did good. It just means when they try and claim moral authority, they don't have ground to stand on. Now, here's what I will point to. Ayanna Pressley, right? She is the 4th, she's, as they call, the Ringo Starr of this set of beetles. I don't think Trump is thinking of her. I don't think anyone thinks of her. She's just kind of being thrown in as a caveat. She's not as stupid as AOC, and she's not as America-hating as Tlaib and Omar. But here is a 15-second clip. Let's show Ayanna Pressley just talking this weekend after these Trump tweets. And I'll show you how the Democrats, especially these set of Democrats, are undermining their own ground.
Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice.
I'm going to be charitable to Ayan here, and I don't think she's actually saying the words she's thinking or thinking about the words she's saying. I think she's just doing this left-wing thing. I think she's just nebulously saying good words about ethnic minorities because that's kind of how she's been taught. So she's just saying blacks, yay, gays, yay, Muslims, yay, queers, yay. I think she's just making progressive noises here. But you have to actually look at what she's saying, because what she's saying relies on the exact same political or ideological axiom that sort of the racist right does. So here's one of my problems with the left and the alt-right, is I hate both of the left and the alt-right. And the reason why I find them so dangerous is because they work on the same mental axioms. This is the sort of go back to your country, and I'll prove it here. So we had the bad Donald Trump tweet, and the bad thing is telling immigrant women or women who are of color who are not even immigrants to go back home, right? And the reason why that's a bad thing is you say, hey, no, we are not going to go back home. We are just as American as everyone else, and everyone's opinion is individually valid. And their merit should be based on the strength of their argument, right? Your opinion should be based on how good it is, right? Individuality. I'm not Somali American, I'm Ilhan Omar, and I bring my own skill set, and the people voted on me, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the argument you're supposed to make. But when you're Ayanna Pressley and you get up and say, black faces must be black voices, Muslim faces must be Muslim voices, queer faces must be queer voices, and if you're not, we don't want you. Well, then what you're basically saying is the exact same mental axiom with Trump, is saying blacks are not like whites. Blacks and whites are very different. Gays are different than straights, and Muslims are not like the other Americans. And we need Muslims to be Muslim in Congress, and we need blacks to be blacks. Right? This is the exact same mental axiom that Trump's bad tweet works off of, the go back home. Right? Because you're not for America, get out of here. And the Democrats then went on stage and doubled down on these ideas. See, this is why they don't get the middle of the country to take them seriously. Because Ayanna Pressley is literally getting out here and saying, black faces must be black voices. Those are different than white voices. Blacks and whites are very different. And obviously when they start talking about blacks and whites and black voices and Muslim voices, they just really mean socialism and intersectional politics. That's ultimately what most people like Ayanna Pressley are talking about. When she says we need Muslim faces to be Muslim voices, she doesn't mean Osama bin Laden. She means Karl Marx. It means like all should be Karl Marx, right? It's just socialist nonsense. And this then feeds the right to saying diversity is just a guise for socialism. It's because it's what the left is saying. So the racist right and now the mainstream left work on the exact same mental axioms, which is why people in the middle, people like me, people conservatives, when Trump does something bad and then the left agrees with it on ideological grounds, all on the same ideological grounds, we say, okay, what are we supposed to do here? Now, here's another thing. Another reason why this is totally invalid is because all of these women are anti-Semites. And no, they're not anti-Jews. They've been consistently anti-Semitic. Ilhan Omar and Rashada Tlaib, who are these victims, and they were openly supported by AOC the entire way, accused the Jews of double loyalty. Ilhan Omar and Rashada Tlaib were at a conference where they sat down and Ilhan Omar outright stated, after two previous anti-Semitism things with the AIPAC stuff and the Jews manipulate the world, or Israel hypnotizes the world, she said, my Jewish colleagues will try and slander me with anti-Semitism when I bring up Israel because they're working for Israel. She basically accused Israel of having dual loyalties. Rashada Tlaib did the exact same thing, accused Jews of having dual loyalties. Rashada Tlaib got elected, wrapped herself in the Palestinian flag. Her election speech was literally that was going on. Well wrapped in the Palestinian flag. She then went on camera and said, I'm doing this for my family in the West Bank. This is for Palestine. I'm going to be the first Palestinian representative in Congress. Second, Justin Amish is the first, but we don't talk about that. I'm going to be the first Palestinian in Congress. Says I'm going into Congress to be Palestinian. Fine, I don't care. But you're basically saying I have dual loyalties to the Palestinian cause. Jews have dual loyalties, that's bad. Donald Trump had accused me of dual loyalties, he's racist. So again, it all falls apart. And then during Ilhan Omar's whole anti-Semitism controversy, they were going to censor her in the House. They were going to say, stop being anti-Semitic, Ilhan. That ended up getting watered down, and that just became general anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and homophobia are bad. Right? So they couldn't even censor Ilhan Omar. Then they want to say, we need to censor what Donald Trump said? I said, bullshit. I don't care what the Democrats don't have a leg to stand on here. Like I'm not wasting any ounce of sympathy on those fools. You want to see how perverted Ilhan Omar and this whole anti-whatever... Here's the argument, though. Here's the actual argument against this whole anti-Semitism, Palestinian rights thing. I'm going to show you a video of a Palestinian official. So someone high up in the government, which is Hamas, which is a listed terrorist organization. This is him talking before the Friday peaceful protests at the border. It's a clip interspersed of him talking, this speech at the border, and then different clips of what happens at the border. It's going to be about a minute. Then afterwards, I'm going to talk about, say, what Ilhan Omar said the very next day. So roll the clip.
يجب أن نهجم على كل يهودي متواجد في الكرة الأرضية ذبحا وقتلا بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. بكفي تسخين خلاص سخنا على آخر احنا اتفجرنا وانت كل أبناء شعبنا جاهزين للتفجير. عملنا مصنع جديد إن شاء الله تعالى في حالة دخول السلك جاهزين أخواتنا كله أف جاهزات كلهن يحملنا أحزمة متفجرة في سبيل الله. بنفتح ثغرتين في كل مخيم 5 ثغرات وبنضلنا واصلين نطربق لما نصلكم. ستقتلون والله ستقتلون بأحزمتنا بإذن الله سبحانه. عملنا شغلنا مصانع جديدة للأحزمة شغالة كل واحد مين بده حنصف على الدور حزام يلا. وانت أهل الضفة الغربية إلى متى تسكتون؟ بدنا السكاكين تطلع 5 شيكل. رقبة اليهودي حقها قديش عنا 5 شيكل أو أقل. الله أكبر. فرجالنا على أهبة الاستعداد تقدما واستعدادا للموت واستعدادا لاقتحام السلك بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. نحن خلقنا هنا في غزة لنحطم هذا الكيان.
All right, a lot of things to dissect there. The first part, he openly calls on Palestinians worldwide to kill Jews. This is not in Israel. He's saying there are 7 million Palestinians out there in the world, like Rashada Tlaib. He's basically saying, Rashada Tlaib and her family, you're out there in the world, go kill Jews in America. Number one. Second thing he said, he talks about, we have suicide vests. We've been making suicide vests. Put them on. Go out there. Third thing, he says, this week we're going to breach the border fence. Now, this is what happens every week. Every Friday in the Gaza Strip, some government official makes a speech talking about what type of terrorist attacks they can do. We're going to kill them. We're going to breach the fence. We're going to charge. Go at them. Then they light tire fires and throw smoke bombs so there's cover. Then they grab knives, suicide vests, some of them, and they try and breach the fence and get into Israel to cause chaos. Some of them are killed in the attempt. Then they say, oh my God, this is non-violence. Israel's killing peaceful protesters. Even though the journalists there all see, hey, whoa, what's he doing making that speech about kill all the Jews? Then we get to Ilhan Omar, who the very next day, right after that came out, right after a Palestinian official, government official, a high-ranking official, calls on them to kill Jews everywhere, she gets on the stage to talk about the non-violent Palestinian movement, and an actual quote, in the situation of Palestine, what we are doing right now is having hypocrisy and not celebrating non-violent movements there and condemning it. So here she goes, calling out people who condemn that, right? If you condemn that, if you condemn that Palestinian guy blowing people up, or building suicide vests, or trying to get into Israel and kill all and kill Jews worldwide, it's very hypocritical because we're not supporting the nonviolence of this movement, right? Gandhi was nonviolent. What about Yasser Arafat? Ugh. And no one calls her out on this, right? And the other thing is, where's Rashada Tlaib? Where's Linda Sarsour? These are the Palestinian American women who are so fierce and nonviolent, and they were trained in kings, and we were all about social justice. Someone in your government, right? I call it Rashada Tlaib's government because she says she's a Palestinian representative. Fine. Rashada, one of your government officials, just called on Palestinians worldwide to kill Jews wherever they find them with knives or vests. You saw the part, what's the life of a Jew worth? 5 shekels, because that's how much a knife costs. Buy a knife, stab a Jew. Where's Linda Sarsour saying, okay, guys, this is not what we're about. We're not about this in Palestine. We're about nonviolence. We need to condemn this. Where are they? Tlaib, Sarsour, Omar, any Palestinian activists? Where are they here? Nowhere. So this is why I don't really find any of this criticism valid at all. Trump is racist. He said, yeah, Trump tweets stupid shit. Let's get over it now. What? I'm supposed to then support the women who are in the Kill the Jews facility? Let's kill the Jews! Also, Trump is a racist. Yeah. No. Not buying it. Not buying why I should then, jump ship, join the team. So again, we're talking about terrorism. Bad. Very bad. All right, like, like and subscribe to the page, follow along, just follow me around town, get a tattoo of my face on your face, call your grandmother, do all those different types of things. Let us move on. So, I actually can't show you any pictures or tweets in this next story because I think doing so violates Canadian law or potentially could violate Canadian law, depending on what the Human Rights Tribunal you listen to. So, we're going to talk about Bill C-16, which was the transgender bill, and Twitter and Lindsay Shepherd. So Lindsay Shepherd was banned from Twitter. She has been permanently suspended from Twitter. Now, we'll talk about her crime. Her crime is essentially misgendering a trans woman who was harassing her. All right. This needs some full context. So if you remember Bill C-16, this is what originally kickstarted the Jordan Peterson controversy. I have done many videos on this channel about the incoherence of the law. Go to the Ontario Human Rights page, type in Bill C-16. You will see the definitions of gender expression are incoherent. Gender identity is straight up wrong and includes misgendering. It even specifies that misgendering people is a criminal offense. And it says things like, unintended negative impact is the same as is criminal. It's very poorly written. We've gone over this. People protested it. Jordan Peterson got big because Lindsay Shepherd was a teaching assistant at Laurier University. She showed a clip of Jordan Peterson arguing with Nicholas Matt on Ontario Public Television. Like, it's basically showing a PBS clip. And Nicholas Matt actually says, as a doctor in medical, is a professor of medical history. Basically, he's a doctor of not being a doctor. They can say that biological sex doesn't exist. And Jordan Peterson kind of looked at him like, yeah, it kind of does. She showed this clip in her class, and she was suspended, she was reprimanded, she was put before an inquisition panel. There was an inquisitor and 2 other professors, but she recorded it. And then the recording went live because it was basically a crucifixion and persecution of a random teaching assistant for BS reasons. And by the way, she was teaching a linguistic class, and they were talking about pronoun usage, and she used this clip to bring up the debate of pronoun usage, so all very appropriate. And this was akin in Laurier's views to, enabling Hitler. Because this is the world we live in. So Lindsay Shepherd was, suspended, then unsuspended, but then harassed her last year from the faculty, and eventually there's an ongoing lawsuit, and she's been in a war with the transgender community. She now works I know she does some work with the Post-Millennial. She also works with the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. That's John Kerpay's organization. It is a fantastic organization. I highly suggest you check it out and support it. So what they do is they sort of provide legal defense for civil rights issues that are unpopular to touch. And what they're involved in, right now, is a case in BC. Now, there's someone called JY. There is a publication ban on his name, or her name, depending on what you're going to do. Now, the reason I will get in trouble, and I'm not going to say put their actual name up, putting in the Twitter. 1, there's a publication ban. 2, JY identifies as female, but is biologically male, and I'm going to call him a man because to me, he is a man. And it's not all trans people. My view on transgenderism, and I'm not sure if I've articulated this, but it needs to be said right here. If you are, born female and you're legitimately trying to present yourself as male in society, what's up, dude? I don't care. Or same thing. I have, trans women friends, right? I call her what she wants because she's out there actually trying to look like a woman, not harming anyone. It's no skin off my back. However, if you are going to use your identity as a political weapon as a force to ruin people's life, to forward a political ideology, then I'm not going to give in to that. And that's exactly what JY is doing. So JY is a man. And what JY has been doing is all over British Columbia, he has been going to different estheticians, asking them to wax his balls, claiming it's his vagina. And then when they say no, he brings a human rights complaint against them unless they pay him $1,000 to $5,000 to get out of it. He's dropped the cases against all women who have gotten legal representation from Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. And Lindsay Shepherd works as sort of a free speech ambassador for this organization. So you can argue that the Twitter ban actually impairs her job functionally, but we can separate Twitter from Canadian government right here. So this is what JY is doing. Now, JY has actually been fined $500 by the BC Human Rights Trial because what he's been doing is he's been going to different estheticians, a lot of them immigrant women, religious immigrant women, Sikhs and Muslim women, and basically saying, wax my balls. And a lot of them are saying, I can't touch your penis because of religious reasons. I only, touch women. I can't because my family or whatever. Like, I can't, religiously I can't. it's a penis. And he's saying, no, it's a vagina because I identify it as a vagina. Court records have shown that JY, who was using a masculine name while he was doing this, so he was using a name of a masculine name, now he's under a feminine name. But when this started, he was using a masculine name, had a penis, and was telling women that they had to wax his penis. If he didn't, they were discriminating, and he's taken this to the human rights tribunals. He's extorted thousands of dollars out of women, ruined multiple lives, ruined people's careers, put them in emotional and financial stress. It's horrible. This person, JY, is a horrible person. Horrible, evil person. Goes around ruining lives. And actually said racist things about these immigrant women. He was fined $500, just $500 for his racist tirades on the immigrant women who wouldn't touch his penis. So JY got on Twitter to get into it with Lindsay Shepherd. And one of the things he essentially said of Lindsay Shepherd, who just had a baby, JY said of Lindsay Shepherd something along the lines of, JY tweeted that that Lindsay Shepherd has a loose vagina from pushing, he actually says pussy in the tweet. He has a loose pussy from pushing a 10-pound baby out yet, but JY has a tight pussy. So JY, who has a penis according to court documents, is bragging about his tight pussy while excoriating Lindsay Shepherd for having a very loose pussy because she just had a 10-pound baby. Now, this is bad manners. Back in the day, we used to think that middle-aged men with penises who would harass 20-year-old new mothers about the consistency of their vagina after birth, that used to be distasteful. That used to be, dare I say it, rude. That used to be bad behavior. But now that's social activism. Go get him, Tiger. Get Lindsay Shepherd. Get her. Because, she showed a video in class. Kill her. Kill her. Or at least, degrade her on public forum. And then Lindsay Shepherd fired back. This sounds like the behavior of a man who doesn't have a proper sexual relationship with women, which it actually does. Good point, Lindsay. Ha-ho. Oh, wait, you actually see the tweet. This is how men who don't have a functional romantic relationship speak. But I guess that's kind of what you are. Boom. Then, here, real Donald Trump is building a wall inside your uterus, aka reproductive abnormality. Hope the wall works intended. Lindsay Shepherd apparently has a septate uterus, so that is, okay. So making fun of her uterus, and then she says, at least I have one. This gets her banned off Twitter. Banned, because you cannot misgender on Twitter. Right? This is the Meghan Murphy thing. But this is where it becomes important into the wider context of Canadian and global law. Because we have these giant tech companies. Now, I'm not saying regulate the tech companies. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just pointing out. These tech companies have very bad business practices when it comes to the gender debate, right? Misgendering is a capital offense on Twitter. Lifetime ban. Meghan Murphy, Lindsay Shepherd. Even though Lindsay Shepherd was responding to harassment from someone who ruins people's lives for a living. Basically, someone makes fun of a new mother for having a baby, and apparently it was by C-section, so none of this is even valid. Basically, this disgusting human being who ruins people's lives attacks Lindsay Shepherd, she defends herself, and is deleted. Right? There was no goose stepping in the Twitter thing, just misgendering. Right? Misgendering is against the law on Twitter. And now it's also sort of against the law in Canada. Now, the reason why it isn't so bad is because of Jordan Peterson. If it wasn't for Jordan Peterson making a stink about things, I think there's a good chance that JY would have gotten a lot more money, and maybe some of the people he complained about would be sent to jail. And again, this is someone who is going to women, even into their home, saying, this is my vagina, it's a penis, how do you wax it? And there have been leaked private messages from JY, private Facebook messages where he's talking about how to give advice to for 10-year-old girls on how to put on tampons, how to approach 12-year-old and 10-year-old girls in the washroom about tampons. And it's like, dude, you don't have a vagina, okay? Like, can we just go back to a time and a place where we acknowledge that reality exists? Can we just go back to the good old days where people without penises understood they didn't have a need for tampons? Can we just go back? Can we go back? But no, this is 2019 and everything is stupid. So we have Twitter, which is enforcing this no misgendering policy. This is actually the law in Canada. I'm telling you, read it. In the law, you cannot misgender people. And the real point I'm making is this is where the social pressure is going, right? Where we're not reporting on this properly, right? The post-millennials doing a great job of covering it, but in the national media, This is not what's happening. And this is sort of one of my problems, I'll say, with Andrew Scheer, that I've got in trouble for sort of calling him out for his timidity. Now, people are right when I call it the Conservative Party for their links to the Muslim Brotherhood. All other parties have them. I mean, the PPC has no links, but they have no links to anything right now. They're new. And another problem I have with Andrew Scheer is sort of this, is Andrew Scheer's unwillingness to get involved and push the culture war in the direction it needs to be. Because there's no one in the media, even conservative media like outside TPM, who will push this story of this person's ruining people's lives, right? We want to see a conservative leader say, hey, there's a real legitimate problem here with people going around ruining people's lives, this misgendering thing. It's all gone too far. We would like to see Andrew Scheer jump into the fray here, right? And that's one of the failures he is. He just needs to show that he's willing to fight for something, right? Yes, the CBC will slag him, but in that it will boost his name. Andrew Scheer's biggest problem, I'm telling you, Andrew Scheer's biggest problem right now, it's not the PPC, it's not Justin Trudeau, it's when you ask people what they think about Andrew Scheer, the number one response you get in this country is, what's an Andrew Scheer? So he just needs to make some noise. He needs to pick an issue and just stand up for it. Bring it to the forefront. Say, hey, this is what Jordan Peterson was talking about. Why are we doing this? This is crazy. This is an assault on free speech. Get in there. Take your gloves off. Hit someone. You're 6'4". Do something. Okay. So that is my views on that. Okay. Let's do a part 2. Because it's 2019 story. This is just a pure, what the hell, sure, why not? Coming out of the UK, a student has won an award for this brilliant design. Let's see. Oh yes, no, these chairs are real. They are what? Designed to stop manspreading. Yes, this is now award-winning architecture. A 25-year-old college student has designed these chairs to stop manspreading. And I love this. Now, this is award-winning architecture right now. This is award-winning. And Shivam didn't believe me. He didn't believe me that these are made in this century. He did not believe me. He thought these were chairs from 1920s or something. But no, let's show the second picture of people actually sitting in these chairs. Right? They're real. Look at them. Look at the hipsters. But I love this. I love this because this is the perfect illustration of the radical left today. This is the perfect story about the radical left. Because manspreading, which is not a problem, is now a problem. Why are men opening their legs? Because they have testicles and women don't. But we can't say that anymore because apparently women with penises have vaginas, and it's gone crazy. So, but I love this because it's not. This is the radical left. It's not that spreading out is a problem, right? Because you're infringing on people's space and it's rude. It's men spreading out is a problem because something patriarchy. So the solution isn't to stop everyone from spreading out and have everyone sit in the same chairs to keep them in their space. No, the solution is women spread out, men shouldn't spread out. So, get this straight. Women are dicks, so men are dicks, and that's a problem, and that's holding society back. But if women acted like the same dicks men did, then everything would be better. Right? This is the problem is the capitalist patriarchy, and if we just put women in these positions, it would be better because women are no different than men. So women are no different than men, but the problem is there's too much men. So if we place them with women who are no different than men, then everything will be better. This is the left, right here. This is the left, manspreading. Now, I don't think manspreading is a real issue. I don't think anyone really takes it seriously. But at universities in the United Kingdom, not in Portlandville, you can win awards for designing the worst chairs of all time. I love it. Thank you. I would just like to say, a personal thank you to the radical left for always making our days a little bit brighter and a little bit more insane. Because what would we do without left-wing nonsense? Who would we complain about? How would we get manspreading chairs? You know, who would be solving these problems? So thank you, AOC and your comrades, for giving us the manspreading chairs. Idiots. All right. So we'll end on this little rant today, and that is, let's talk about the Amber Alerts. If you don't know what an Amber Alert is, it's an alert they send out for missing children. What they're doing in Ontario now is just everyone gets a mass alert every time an Amber Alert comes out. Your cell phone goes, and then people wake up in the middle of the night, and they say, oh, why am I doing this? And then they complain, and then people complain about the people complain, and it just becomes a massive virtue signaling circle. And the reason I bring this up is because I actually think there is a wider point to be made about the debate we're having on Amber Alerts that relate to our society as a whole. And the point that I'm going to make is we're not having a good conversation, and instead we're sort of stuck on the virtue signaling aspect of it. And this isn't because of the left, this isn't because of the right. I see this on all sides of the political spectrum. This is a non-political point I'm making. This is purely societal. So here's how this works. The most recent Amber Alert we got was at 3 a.m. An elderly man got confused. It looks like an early onset dementia case, and sort of had wandered off with his grandkids and no one could find him. Okay? There's an Amber Alert put out at 3 in the morning. And some people got upset because, let's be honest, okay? When people get an Amber Alert at 3 a.m. in the morning, they look at their phone, they look around and say, the kid's not in my room, ugh, I want to go to sleep. It's understandable that someone can be angry when they're woken up at 3 in the morning. Now, when people start calling the police to complain about being woken up at 3 in the morning, that's crazy. 4, we do not need people telling us how much better they are than other people because they don't complain about the Amber Alerts. So here's sort of the bad conversation we're getting in. It's, oh, these Amber Alerts are annoying, they might not be as helpful, versus bad people don't care about Amber Alerts. I'm a good person because I care so much. I don't mind if I'm woken up. Wake me up 10 times a night. I'm so great. But what I want to bring up is there's actually a very serious conversation we need to be having about these Amber Alerts that we're not taking seriously. It is, what is the functionality of the Amber Alerts? Are they actually a good thing? Now, we can all agree, if a child's life is in imminent mortal danger, do whatever you can to save it. No one's going to debate that. But there's another thing to these Amber Alerts. Everyone in Ontario gets a text message when they go off. So there's a lot of different ways this scenario can play out. Do you have a horrible situation where a child is kidnapped, and the guy kidnapping the child, he might do something, he's on edge, he's got the kid, we're going to go to Mexico, we're going to do this, so it's going to be great. He gets an Amber Alert, everyone is looking for you and this person. Does this then change the calculus? Does he then get spooked, decide to, take the kids to the woods, kill the child, and then try and disappear without it because he's now spooked, right? That is a possible result, right? The ideal situation, everyone thinks, is, right, we get an Amber Alert, everyone looks at their phone and says, pink jacket, blue pants, is she around here? Well, okay. Which brings up to, if they're coming out at 3 a.m., right, especially for the last one, where it's the child's life wasn't in imminent mortal danger. It's the middle of the summer, there's an old confused grandfather, he's not going to kill the kids, they're just missing. The better time to put out the Amber Alert would be around 6 to 8 a.m. when people are actually on the streets, so they can get Amber Alert and actually look for them. Because again, when you get it at 3 a.m., you go, it's not in my room, I don't care, right? When people are actually out in society, it's more functional. So there's another point we could be making. So we want people to sort of look around and say, oh, it's there, call the police, the kid's found. That's what we want. But there's other ways this can go, right? We talked about the kidnapper getting spooked, dumping the child. There's another thing. What happens when one of these Amber Alerts isn't actually a real kidnapping, it's just a bad divorce? Let's say it's a bad divorce. Dad was taking the kid to a game out of town. They decided to stop in and stay an extra night. But I hate my ex-wife. Sheila's such a bitch. I don't want to talk to her. She's crazy. Every time I say, does it, she says no, and then she nags me. So I'm not listening to her. She calls at the night, says, what are you doing? You just ignore it. And then she calls the police, says, he's kidnapped my child, when you're just coming back from a baseball game and you're going to show up at 1 p.m. instead of the next day. You're going to be 13 hours late, but you just don't want to talk to her. What happens when that Amber Alert gets sent out? What happens if a person sees an Amber Alert, and it's just a dad who's going to take his time, doesn't want to talk to his ex-wife, right? And someone attacks him because they see a girl with a pink jacket and blue pants, right? And then they get a fight, right? Where's the legal liability there? What happens if someone actually sees it, or it's a real kidnapping? A civilian takes it into his own hands. He either gets killed in the act of trying to save the child, or he, runs the dad off the road to save the child and ends up killing both the dad and the child. Like, there's a lot of ways this can go wrong. And what we're doing is, when someone brings up legitimate concerns, we can never have a debate about the functionality of Amber Alerts. And Amber Alerts is ultimately a metaphor for everything else in society. It's everything else, right? There are very good points that we're bringing up for, maybe we shouldn't do it this way. Maybe we should do it this way, right? Instead it's, people are upset they're woken up at 3 a.m. I'm not upset. Look how much better I am than you. You're upset and you're upset, but wake me up at 3 a.m. because I want to save kids. Implying that other people don't care about kids, right? And then you have people saying, "Screw this! I don't care. I'm not looking for these kids at 2 a.m. Who gives a whatever?" Right? And those are the only sides we're hearing. We're not hearing the actual arguments for and against Amber Alerts. We're not hearing it from the police. We're not hearing from the politicians. We're not hearing from the media. We're not hearing from commentary, and that is a symptom of our wider society, where we can never have a proper conversation about anything. It's always, look at me, I'm right, look at them, they're wrong. And that's a very bad way, and that's kind of indicative of how the entire society is breaking apart these days. And again, you get woken up at 3 a.m., you're allowed to be upset. Anyone who's woken up at 3 a.m. for any reason is allowed to feel, Don't call the police, you're being an idiot. Don't waste anyone else's time. And one, you're not morally superior to anyone because you think kids dying is bad, okay? We all get it. That being said, this has been fun. We're going to end this show, 3 minutes early. I did great. So we do this every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Please join the page, follow along. So Wednesday night at 6 p.m., I can be ranting at you. Tomorrow, this will go up on YouTube, and then YouTube will eventually kick me off for having an opinion. Who knows? You can find out when. Follow us on Twitter. My face, your face, extra face. Again, if you really, really like the show, you should get a tattoo of my face onto your face, because that's what regular people do. And tomorrow night, we will have our special 1-hour in-depth episode. That needs to be moved from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. just for this week, because I have things to do with my life. But this Thursday, tomorrow night, if you want to hear me talking about immigration, why immigration is good, why mass migration is bad, what the middle ground is, where are the arguments, what Canada is doing, global compacts, so everything to do with the immigration debate, that will be the 1-hour special tomorrow at 10 p.m. So just follow here along in the Facebook page if you want to see that. Like, subscribe, threaten your aunt that if she doesn't follow me that you're gonna ruin her cakes or pies or whatever she bakes. I don't know. So please just leave right now before I say anything too crazy, and then come back next Wednesday night at 6 p.m. thinking I'm a reasonable individual. Good night.